All I'm learning is I have to aggressively eat bananas now, because if I eat them any other way, Josh yells at me.
Don't eat a banana on the podcast, then.
It's tradition!
What the f*** are you talking about? We've been doing video twice.
I know, but I've been eating on the podcast, like, I can't count.
Okay, don't do a banana. Are you eating a Twix bar right now? What the f*** is going on? Start the intro, my god. I just cursed, too. God, YouTube! Hello and welcome to Star Wars Every Week Forever, the podcast in which we watch one Star Wars movie every week forever. This week
we are in the dining room with Darth Vader.
This week we are in the dining room with Darth Vader, graciously given by the Empire, who strikes back. Ben, how was your watch?
Maybe, Chris, how was your watch? Because you were there for my watch, Josh.
Yeah, I watched it with Ben.
Chris watched a little bit with us, too.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. You know, the Empire, the Empire it giveth, but it also striketh.
Backeth.
And this week it striketh backeth. So that was a good week. It's been a good week. We're on a good trajectory for Star Wars. I am every week in the dining room with Darth Vader. So
yeah, I invited Ben over, and Ben sat here and watched it with me. And then we called Chris on Skype to be present for the dining room scene. And that was how this watch went.
And we got to see part of Chris's commute home.
Walking. I wasn't driving. I was walking.
True.
Make that clear.
I was updating Chris on the amount of puns that he was making, and he was like, "I wish I was there." And I'm like, "Well, we got to call him now." So we did, and he stuck around for a while, and we talked, and then we put on the dinner scene, and then we talked more, and that was the amount that Chris was there. But it was like a good hour and a half call. It was fun. Probably more like an hour call, but whatever. It was fun.
I love this movie. I've always loved this movie. I love this movie so much more because of what the Star Lads have done to it.
This movie is great. I have a note real quick. Josh was my unofficial I want to say secretary, but I feel like that's that
I didn't write down as much as you think I did.
Demeaning. But I would sit there and say something, and Josh would just look at me and be like, "Do you want me to write that down for you?" I'm like, "Yeah, because I won't remember."
There were a lot of times I told you I wasn't gonna write it down.
We had
down.
One note, because I made Jay rewind it like 3 times almost during the Darth Vader Luke fight when they're out in the air shaft right before the end of the battle. Luke fucking like hits Darth Vader's one shoulder thing, and Darth Vader goes, "Ooh," and then he goes to lunge him and he goes, "Ah!" It's just like the dumbest, funniest shit.
It's weird. He
ever.
just makes this like guttural thrust forward, just like.
And it's just like quiet enough you can't really hear it over all the other shit going on. But if you're paying attention, you just hear him go, "Ooh, ah."
Most of what I wrote down were one-liners by Ben. And I'm just gonna go through them right now.
Oh, that's scary.
This is one from Ben. It's him reciting a line from the movie. "A death mark isn't something easy to live with." Well, yeah, I think that's the fucking point.
I then also said, "I think that's the guy who notices things."
I'm aware of that. I joined up with the rebels because I noticed things.
We learned that day how much we all love the guy that notices things line more than I think any of us individually thought we loved it. We love it.
Because we each individually brought it up.
Another line, "I want to see R2-D2 in a Fast and the Furious movie now. It's a crossover event." And then as he sees me pick up my notes, he says, "No, we can't keep bringing up Vin Diesel." During the scene where Han goes, Leia goes, "My hands are dirty," and Han goes, "My hands are dirty too. What are you afraid of?" I watched Ben just hold up his hands and go, "My hands are dirty all the time." I'm like, what the fuck? fuck are you doing?
No, because
I watched him
work
go into a fugue state.
Well, I said that because
Pupils just pin out. He's just...
I
My
said that
hands are all.
because I
He
work
just puts
with-
his hands up in front of his face, just like my hands are always dirty too.
No, I said that because I, for a living, work with coal and work on construction sites, so my hands are just perpetually filthy. It was only a semi-fugue state, thank you very much.
So those were my favorite Ben lines. I also think it's very emblematic of the way we watch these movies now that it's symbolic that Ben and I sat there in bated breath during the Yoda hut scene, not for, the beautiful monologue or the way the music cues in or anything like that, but for Mark Hamill to hit his head off of the top of the hut. That's what we were waiting for excitedly. I think that just...
I look at Jay and I'm like, it's coming up. He's like, what? And I'm like, Luke's gonna hit his head soon. They were like, oh yeah.
We were sitting there so excited, I just go, this is really symbolic of the way that we watch these movies now.
No, yeah, this podcast has really changed the way I watch these fucking movies.
Which brought up another line from Ben that I didn't write down Ben's name on, so I almost didn't say it. I only watch the background now. Fuck the foreground. All my homies hate the foreground.
That's a better segue into what I was about to say, because I was going to say Josh and I talked for a bit about how we don't even pay attention to what's going on in the movie anymore. We just scan the background for all the stupid shit that happens, and believe you me, there is a lot of stupid shit.
I'm desperately looking. The people in the background of the Star Wars movie, much like a Wookieepedia writer, are our saving grace. Because if we can grab a hold of their essence just for a second, we can get like 10 minutes out of their existence and save ourselves with whatever they weirdly were forced to do in the background of a Star Wars movie. So I would like to thank all of the extras. Thank you for doing weird shit in the back of Star Wars movies. You make this more sane for us.
I would like to take a moment to thank all of the people we lost in the Boon to Eve race. Hold
on, stop.
Cancel the show.
You hit your mic so hard with that face palm, Chris.
I murdered Chris with a pod race.
You murdered the audio with the pod race. Fucking pod racing, Ben. It's bad enough now that we do video and you're sitting inside of a fucking pod racer.
He really is just up there, just fucking like handle.
Vroom vroom.
Christ.
Ben and I laughed a lot at Vader throwing objects at Luke. A lot. We were sitting there, we were having such a deep intellectual conversation about why this movie does such a good job of committing and ebbing and flowing with tone, because a lot of the Vader and Luke duel is slow and then it gets furious when it needs to hit an emotional climax. Meanwhile, in order to keep the pace of the movie going, the other scenes that are happening around it are frantic as fuck. So it keeps this real roller coaster ride of an ending in the movie. And then we got to the part where Vader's just fucking throwing objects.
Yeah, Vader's just using the Force to chuck shit at Luke, and he's like trying to baseball bat them like it's goddamn Little League.
My favorite one is he's just randomly going after one of the objects with his lightsaber as it leaves his peripheral, and then one smacks him in the back. He just goes, ah!
My favorite is there's
worse
the one
every
right
time.
before that he does like a wide swing, and there's like a full second before the thing hits him.
Well, it's like I love they've made this like a full like thing in canon now, where like in I believe in Rebels and like Jedi Fallen Order, Vader's just throwing shit at people like constantly. It's like his favorite thing. He's like, you get a fucking piece of metal, you get a piece of metal. Here's this fucking red bullshit. Go. Was like
Random bullshit. Go.
I no longer get to use my powers for good, and bringing a stemless pair to you with the Force. So now I bring anything but stemless pairs and inflict damage upon you with it.
No, you know what it is? Vader's just preparing for the inevitability of having to fight Palpatine, but Palpatine currently possesses his legs. So he needs to practice so that he can hit Palpatine without moving.
This is an episode of Downtime Dark.
This is
episode...
the finale.
No, it's not the finale.
No.
It's a bottle episode.
I know what it is. It is Vader preparing for the inevitable Inter-Empire Softball League.
It's just got so Deep Space Nine all of a sudden.
Luke, you would be a terrible batter.
Luke,
you missed that one by a mile.
No, Luke. There are no shortstops in our games. That is the one. That is the one sports joke you get out of me throughout the next 40 years, friends.
Oh,
Vader's
man.
throwing shit. He's like, oh, that curveball could have been better.
It's just like, I can't get over, and I'm sorry this is a Star Trek joke, but they had to, in order to get baseball scenes into Deep Space Nine, they had to make a character that somehow knew about baseball, so that hasn't existed since America in the early 21st century, so that they could get bottle episodes where they play baseball. And now all I'm thinking is that Vader just has this weird knowledge of this Tatooine, like, fucking desert game that he's bringing and spreading throughout all of the Empire. Just like, oh, swing, bada, 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 swing, bada, 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 swing. There was this Tatooine boy that I knew. We called him Babe Ruth. And when he pointed somewhere, he never hit it. But this one time, he did. And he was a legend.
Talking. Have I ever told you about the person on first? His name is who? What is on second?
We got here impressively quick.
I don't know is on third.
We really got here impressively quick. We were like...
Apparently all we needed was a sports mention, and we just fucking wrote we wrote a bottle episode for Downtime Darth.
We wrote like 3 bottle episodes for Downtime Darth.
3 individual seasons.
No,
The
it's gonna be an arc.
Well, the episode where he loses his legs is 100% a bottle episode.
All right. Kevin Feige. All right. Kevin Feige. We have an idea for the first few episodes of the second season of Downtime Darth. Baseball. Why the fuck did I hire you people?
Hey, Kev, let me tell you.
Kev, baby, honey.
Kev,
Friend of the show. Friend of the show.
Kevin Feige.
What the fuck are we doing? What the fuck
We're
is
making
happening?
content. We're making
Are
content,
we?
baby.
Fucking are we, Chris?
Yes, we are. Everything is content. Come on.
Oh, God.
So in these fucking special features, no reaction.
No call back.
No reaction after weeks of been going. So in these books, when I do it, no reaction.
Josh, I've been to hell and back with this fucking
Josh,
joke,
I gave
fucking
you the
jazzercise.
I gave you the radio show soundbite. What more do you want?
So in the special features, it was brought to my attention by Ben sitting there. I told this story. There are a few things that had left my memory that came back to memory as I was telling Ben about things while we were watching it. You know, a lot of the scenes with Luke struggling through the snow. A lot of those were filmed directly outside of the hotel during a terrible, terrible blizzard that snowed out the entire process. So I started talking about this, and Ben was like, I want to know what it was like for the people that lived in the hotel to just look outside.
I just started hypothetically narrating this like small family with like a couple kids. Like, Mommy, what are they doing out there? Why do they have a dead animal?
It's like this, the hut, like, you know, Luke banging his head, them almost drowning him. It's like, you can make a good case, like, this is why Mark Hamill did such a good Joker for so many years. because of what George Lucas did to him.
That was his outlet.
This wasn't even George Lucas. I'm telling you, this all happened about 20 to 30 feet outside of the hotel because they couldn't do anything else. But the whiteout conditions were so bad.
I'm just saying, like, this put together with everything else they did to Mark Hamill throughout filming. It's a miracle Mark Hamill survived the end of Star Wars, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like George Lucas was like, I love him so much, and I must kill him.
He's like a son to me. World. Dunks him in water.
Now, son, I'm going to need you to go out there about 80 yards.
And don't you dare say Dianoga poo-poo again. Or I swear to God, there will be hell to pay, young mister. There's a part where I sat down and I looked at Josh. So, speaking of that scene where Luke's fucking dying and Ben's like, hey, take a vacation, go see Yoda.
We were riffing so hard on that.
I go, wait a minute.
Luke, I see that you're dying.
Wait a fucking minute.
Luke, go to Dagobah. I'm dying here, Ben. I'm dying. Go to Dagobah. What the fuck's a Dagobah? What the fuck is a Dagobah?
Yeah.
Can we riff on Boomer Obi-Wan for a second?
Yes.
Like, Luke, walk it off. Luke, your generation is so lazy.
When I was a youngling, I walked to the temple uphill both ways in these conditions.
Luke, when I was your age, we were pulling ourselves up by our footstraps.
Luke, we didn't have underwear. Luke, we weren't allowed to have girlfriends or boyfriends or any significant others. Luke, I walked up those steps with a boner, Luke. You can pick yourself up out of the snow.
No, please, I'm pulling the plug on this.
No more
We've
riffing.
allowed this to go too far.
The riffing's dead.
So,
yeah,
Obi-Wan shows up, and he's like, yo, Luke, I know you're dying, but, like, you should check out this planet called Dagobah. And Luke's like, okay, and just fucking knows how to get there for reasons, and it pissed me off so fucking much. I just look at Josh, I go, how the fuck does he know how to get there? And Josh is like, what? And I'm like, how? So none of the Jedi knew about Dagobah because it got erased from the Jedi archives or some shit because Dooku's a fucking madman. So the only one who knows where Dagobah is Yoda and apparently Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan doesn't tell Luke how to get there. So Luke's just like, oh yeah, Dagobah.
Everybody knows where Dagobah is.
I was there last week. We went there on vacation. What do you...
And he's like, but why did Dooku eliminate it from the Jedi archives then? I'm like, I don't fucking know. And I went, Chris is going to be mad about this.
I am, you guessed it, super duper pissed. I hate this. Why? Because I've never noticed. I've never noticed this. Never thought about it. This never crossed my mind.
Because it was an insular content. Like, well, Dooku got rid of, like, about 40 planets, one of which was Dagobah. But why Dagobah?
So did Luke use the Force to find Yoda, just like.
Oh,
If he could do
just
that,
looked
then
at-
Emperor could have just been like, oh, Lord Vader, I found Yoda.
Yeah. Oh, there he
How
is.
did you do that, my lord?
He just went.
felt him in the Force.
He feels
I
swampy.
I can't believe I never thought of this before.
Well, the son of Skywalker has a major case of swamp ass.
Ah.
I should take his leg. I have been every limb you have found missing.
No! Now I'm picturing a Star Wars, like, Frankenstein that's just, like, made up of all of the limbs that have been cut off throughout the saga.
I think that's just Vader.
No, like, someone just stitches all these limbs together
I
and makes,
know.
like, a fucking, like, weird spider monster thing out of it.
Yeah, that's Grievous.
This is where we're at now.
That's
this is where we're at.
Grievous. Oh my god.
It's a good movie. It's always a good movie. It's always a good time. Like, with our bits, without our bits, it's always a good movie.
This and Revenge of the Sith are the ones that I feel like I've enjoyed every time I sat down to watch it.
Yep.
It is interesting, though. Sitting there and riffing with Ben brought to mind a fact that was so far in the back of my brain that I had forgotten to bring it up this entire time, and it finally came back into my brain, and I was so upset I hadn't brought it up because it's me. So, Dengar. You know who Dengar is? So Dengar is a bounty hunter on the Star Destroyer that Darth Vader runs that he hires on to be a bounty hunter to go find the Millennium Falcon. And he doesn't really get brought up again. There's an old I've talked about it before, actually, I think in this episode, Last Rotation, the IG-88 series. You follow Dengar there. So the actor that plays Dengar is named Morris Bush. And Morris Bush has a very sporadic acting history. Mostly, for some reason, he's done a lot of Dracula movies as a background character. None of this makes sense until you realize that for years, for decades now, it has been widely rumored that Morris Bush is a fake identity taken up by Johnny Cash to do bits in movies. So there's a theory out there that Johnny Cash was in Star Wars and he was Dengar.
I have never in my life wanted something to be true more.
It's never been disputed. I mean, as far as I'm aware, Morris Bush did no roles after Johnny died, and the people who know him, meaning like people who say, yeah, I saw him at a convention, have not seen him since around that time, know that he died He died around that time. So, it's actually very conceivable that Dengar was Johnny Cash. There's no proof. It's just that for whatever reason, since like the late 50s, this one actor's name pops up in all these weird projects, never has a massive role, and it's just in there in like movies that maybe you could hypothetically say Johnny Cash either really liked, or I bet in the case of Star Wars, his kids really liked. And this was like in the back of my brain, and it just bubbled back up, and Ben can attest, when I said it, he was like, and I was like, I can't believe I haven't brought this up before.
My brain feels so broken with this knowledge that you've put on me. I can't believe this is the first I'm hearing of this.
Ben, you can definitely back me up and say that that I kind of just shook my head when I brought up the Morris Bush bit and was like, I can't believe I haven't mentioned that on the podcast. Like, it was somewhere covered in cobwebs in the back of my head, and I just
Dengar is Johnny Cash confirmed.
Dengar is Johnny Cash confirmed.
Fucking Dengar, man. That's like, I remember being a kid, and it's funny, like, thinking about it, because we've bitched about the sequel trilogy enough now, and wasted bits, and, you know, like, the bounty hunters in the OT are kind of the original Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
You're
but more
introduced to these.
interesting.
Well, yeah, but again, same thing. It's let's introduce these really cool, interesting characters, and then ultimately they're completely unimportant, and you basically never see them again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but at least there's like expanded universe content about them.
Yeah, but I mean that took years. There wasn't that when the movie came out, is what I'm saying. Like they introduced these characters, and
it was one of the first novels they did.
oh well.
No,
It was
in fact,
Dengar's Johnny Cash, huh?
fun fact about my buddy Bosk.
My buddy Bosk, friend of the show, Bosk.
Friend of the show, Bosk. Bosk, the Trandoshan bounty hunter who wears the yellow jumpsuit. That yellow jumpsuit was actually from an episode of Doctor Who.
Oh, I've seen yeah.
And that yellow jumpsuit's also in the cantina on Tatooine.
It's in a lot of things, apparently. That same prop apparently showed up in a ton of shit.
I'm trying to see where all this jumpsuit has been.
In the meantime, there is a pigeon at my window. Hold on.
I love that we have a visual for this bit now. I wanted so bad for you to come back on screen with a fucking scroll. Just
a tiny one. Like
major merchandise has arrived at Planet Walmart. This is actually a very minor version of the piece. It is not like a full-fledged one. It's like it's in the discount bin of Planet Walmart because daggone they added again. Adidas.
Fresh Adidas.
Fresh Adidas. It is not as bad as where we started this. The Adidas did bring in this entire bit. But they are on May the 4th bringing out a new shoe. And while it's not, Chewbacca hair shoes or just a pouch on one side, it's something. And I'm not going to... It's not a Croc.
Damn. My disappointment is immeasurable.
So it is Yoda-based shoes. So these are the shoes. And they look fine, right?
I was gonna say, they don't look bad.
Here's the back of the shoe.
Is that horrible? Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh.
Adidas is at it again.
What is
that? Adidas is at it again.
Yoda, what have they done to your face?
Looks like he has a mustache.
Yoda,
He
no.
does look like he has a mustache. Would you like to describe it?
J. Yoda Jameson. Oh man, I've never been more excited for Josh to have to edit something in my life.
I didn't even think of that yet. So this shoe is not like it doesn't look that weird. It has do or do not along the sides. It's a white shoe, but there's the tab of the shoe just has a picture of Yoda. But on the back, on like the ridge of the back of the sole of the shoe, there's a picture of Yoda.
It's not a picture so much. It's like they stitched him in.
It's like an engraving, embossing.
Yeah.
It's like they've embossed Yoda on the back of the shoe there.
If this it's Yoda is a refuted fact.
This is a strange looking Yoda. It's like someone went, you know what Yoda normally looks like? Can we make him not look like that?
So the ears kind of come down and around the edge, which makes it look like some kind of weird Vader helmet. Except it's like puke green. Like the most puke green. I've never described anything as puke green before. That is puke green.
Yeah, it is kind of puke green.
That looks like something a lunch lady that is on her last day of work
or
and doesn't
want
to be there anymore. Or a lunch lad. is on their last day of work. It's just like, get me out of this fucking place. It has like Yoda eyes, but it doesn't have pupils, and they're downturned in like this sad look, or like in this case, staring 1,000 miles as if, why do I exist? There's age marks. The nose isn't bad, but you can't distinguish the mouth from the way that the Yoda face goes. So it does look like a fucking mustache.
The upper lip has these weird like point sections that make it look like a scruffy mustache.
And then I mentioned that the way the ears come down, it looks like a Vader head. That's largely because there's an area at the top that is just kind of disconnects itself almost in a Vader helmet-like way from the rest of the design, and just has like a couple crosses, like Christianic crosses.
It's supposed to be like his forehead creases, but they look just
off. No, it's truly awful. And I know this isn't like, under normal conditions I probably wouldn't use this as a bit, but
the problem with this one is we've given a lot of shit to some of the major merchandise that's come through our humble podcast here before, but this one truly is the lazy bad, because like the other ones were so spectacularly bad.
I wouldn't even say it's lazy bad, and the reason why I wouldn't say it's lazy bad is whatever the fuck is going on with this forehead. It took effort to just like fuck the forehead up that bad.
Well, I'm saying it's lazy because it's the Chewbacca and the Boba Fett one at least had like an identity.
Yeah.
This is just a white sneaker with some green shit thrown on it.
It makes me think of the one that Jay did a while ago, where it was the shirt. That was like the half white, half black shirt with the text that made it look like you were having a stroke when you were trying to read it.
It feels like more like a spectacular fuck up. Like someone had to work to make it look that bad.
Yeah.
I don't think they even did. I think they were just like, because if they worked on it a little more, I think that it would have been serviceable. I think they just like, all right, fuck it, that's good enough. Just fucking send it out.
If it wasn't Adidas, I would not have featured this. But because it's Adidas, I had to bring in the Planet Walmart Adidas update, because they're at it again. And you can get this shoe for, what is it, $120?
That's worth it.
Every time I feel like I brought this up the last time we talked about sneakers on this podcast, but like I vaguely follow sneakers, and I buy Jordans, and it's insulting to me that there are a couple of styles of Jordans that retail for lower than this pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Yep. Someone who's in the market for a new set of sneakers could walk into a store, look at all these nice, and Adidas has some pretty respectable sneakers in that region. Just to look at all of the things that would inevitably be on sale and all that, and to look down and see this little fucking Yoda embossing staring back at you with its fucked up forehead, and go, these sneakers, I'm gonna rock these for the next year to 2 years. This is my jam.
Love me that puke green Yoda forehead.
Yeah. Again, that's what I always say.
These shoes are truly for the Christian at heart. It just, they needed some kind of Christian symbology somewhere on their Star Wars shoe.
Yeah. Some very misguided effort was put into these shoes.
I truly hope Adidas keeps at it, so that I can do a segment of major merchandise from Planet Walmart that's just the Adidas update. But in the meantime, it's not sold out at Planet Walmart because it's not out yet. But I'm sure it'll be sold out in a few minutes, despite how bad it looks. So if you want that, go get it. Disney, where's our fucking money?
Where's my fucking money, you bitch? Listen, Disney, you fucking bitch.
Give me my fucking money. I'm peddling for you right now.
I think today I've hit a new level of meta.
What is the meta?
Oh.
There is a Wookieepedia page entitled Star Wars.
We can't do this right now.
Hey, can we? This actually brings up something I was thinking about last episode or 2 episodes ago, where we kind of like got introspective about the podcast. So if we ever log on to Wikipedia and we see like trending article or new article, and there's a Wikipedia article for Star Wars every week forever, that's when we cancel the show, right? It's like, no, this has gotten too like meta. Like there's
One day, fucking 10 years from now, I'm gonna do a weird Wikipedia. And Star Wars every week forever is gonna come up. And I'm gonna have to out loud say, 3 idiots weekly watch Star Wars for some fucking reason.
I mean, it's gonna happen. As long as we have like more than 20 fans, it's gonna happen.
I want there to be. If we get to a point where we have a Wikipedia page and we have a rabid enough fan base where there's a Wikipedia page for the show, I want them to be the type of dickish fans where every time a moderator tries to change an article back, they just go back and they just change shit just for the fuck of it. Like, because just beginning of that, like you said, 3 idiots watch Star Wars. I want them to go through and just change that constantly to 3 whatever.
I have just 2 questions right now, though. Because, like, who the fuck is going on to Wikipedia to look at the Star Wars article? Like, who the fuck is like, oh, Star Wars, I wonder what the fuck that
You're gonna if we keep going into this is the rest of the episode, and I hate that. But I guess we're doing it, so okay, let me go open the fucking Star Wars article on Wikipedia.
I'm gonna have to weird Wikipedia eventually, too, today.
Not today.
Not today?
It's Empire Strikes Back. You do it on Return of the Jedi.
There are no rules. We're the bosses here. If we want to do weird Wikipedia, we'll do weird Wikipedia.
No, Jay's right. I'm just fucking stupid.
It really is impressive how...
I feel like every time I do this, where I'm like, no, it's the middle, and Jay will be like, no, it's the end, and I'll be like, no, and then I'll look at it and I'll be like, fuck. See, I'm just used to the safe pod race bit, because I could just do that when the fuck ever. And now I'm like, I have to actually keep track of one of these bits, and it's god awful.
I hate you so much.
No, I need to get off this article. I need
no, we're all signing on it, so you're stuck.
Oh
you
my
did
god,
this to us.
We're doomed. This article covered an essential
topic. Not on
topic.
Popular pages anymore.
Oh no.
I need justice for Geode.
That's terrible. That's so bad. I justice for Geode for sure. But we're opening this page, so
there's so much here. It just keeps going.
Oh,
this hasn't been updated properly in quite a long time.
There's a picture of Anthony Daniels in the C-3PO suit, but without the helmet, and it looks jarring.
So they have sections for all the movies except the sequel movies. And it just kind of ends with sequel trilogy, anthology films and beyond. And I think this is a very terrific example of Wikipedia before the Legends became non-canon, and Wikipedia after Legends became non-canon, or Wikipedia before and after the destruction of
the Legends moniker.
Yeah. It just got lazier.
This article's great. I'm scrolling through this fucking slog of an article, and they have an expanded universe section, and it's really well written. And down at the bottom, it starts talking about, the Galactic Empire suppresses alien species because of xenophobia, and the idea appears in the films only subtly, in parentheses, or arguably not at all. But like it goes through a bunch of like the Star Wars civil rights-ish stuff, and then it mentions the Young Jedi Knights series by title, which is nice to just see out in the wild. And it talks about how it deals with drug
Jedi
abuse,
Knight
homelessness, and yeah, exactly, nice. It mentions how they were more prone to discussing modern issues than other Star Wars series.
Nah, Star Wars was never political until the sequel trilogy. That's what Reddit has taught me.
No
It's my favorite.
politics in my Star Wars.
It's also very interesting because you can tell that none of that effort went into. And I want to make this very clear. That effort should be going into the new content. They should be putting that effort into it, but they're just not. And this article kind of perfectly encapsulates it.
Radio adaptation.
Love the radio adaptation. I miss the radio adaptation. I might go back and listen to those again.
Oh God.
What?
Feel free.
I've been broken. This show's broken me. This show has broken me. It's beaten me down.
Were you just
It's
about to
fun.
say, what the fuck am I talking about? Like, did you realize how bad an idea that was
I
as
love
you
that
said
we're
it?
doing video, and I can see Chris saying, I should go back and do that, and just say that with utter confidence, but
And then
also a
just-
look of total confusion on
And
his
immediately
face.
just fall back in his chair like, what the fuck am I doing?
You think I was joking by how much I dissociate during this fucking podcast? I'm
What you just
not
described is
talking
how
to
I
you
feel.
anymore. I'm talking to me.
What you just described is how I feel every time I think I should read the Yu Zhang Vong series again, because I get that thought all the time, and then I just look at them and I'm like, no, honey, that's not happening.
Who the fuck? What? Why does Wookieepedia have an article about Star Wars?
You're
I
really
just
bothered
can't
by
get over this.
You're really bothered by this.
I am. It's like who's like, oh, let me go look up Star Wars on Wookieepedia. That's like.
It is the difference between I don't know anything about this comic character. Let me click on the Wikipedia page, and I know everything about this comic book character, but I might not know everything, so let me go to specifically the Marvel 616 wiki. Like, it's like nobody would go to Wookieepedia because it's specialized to learn about Star Wars. They would go to Wikipedia. So it is very strange. Especially since they can't go to that one anymore because it's not up to date. Like, it gives passing mention of, like, the sequels, but not the attention it gives everything else.
It's like there's a section that's just like, oh, there's rumors brewing that there might be a purchase on the horizon, but we're sure it would only be a small licensing agreement. It wouldn't wipe out everything we've spent half
be
our
clear, there
lives.
And there's a Legends banner at the top. Oh, we've broken.
Oh, you just figured that out?
Like we have a lot of episodes where it's like, oh, we're broken by this point, but like this one we started off okay. This is the first time I think there's been an evolution on the episode.
I'm still fine.
I was
I'm fine. What are you talking
I wasn't fine an hour and a half ago. I'm sure as hell not fine now.
I have a story that Josh would refuse to tell, but it must be known. So
Intrigue.
when Han Solo's getting rescued and the snowspeeder's flying around, and he goes, "This is Rogue 2."
Careful with the mic.
He goes, "This is Rogue 2. I've got him." And I look at Josh, and we're recording this on the same week we watched Rogue One. So I look at Josh, I go, I'm so glad they made a sequel. And I could see the visceral hatred.
It's such a good bit. It's such a good bit. Oh. Ben, that's such a good bit.
I was peppered with puns throughout the entire watch.
was peppered with puns.
If you know Ben, you know he will pepper you with puns. It is like having things thrown at you. It really is. Especially
of
when
like-
you don't get to see him as much as you used to because pandemic. So he makes up for lost time.
You might say it was the start of the pundemic.
God damn it. You know,
Oh no.
Ben's just throwing those puns out like Vader's throwing everything just all the time. Like Jay has been thrown out of frame, out of the podcast, away.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
You've set it up because I know what Ben's thinking right now. He's going to make some kind of, do you mean I have invaded your life with all of these puns? I can hear it. You got more puns than you. I know you got more puns.
I was about to do a segue, but now I'm scared.
Segue, please. You
Permission to
bastard.
get very nitpicky.
Permission granted. We're 5 rotations into this podcast. Have we not done this?
It has to
All
start
right.
somewhere.
So fucking they're in the goddamn the fucking astro. They're in the goddamn asteroid field, and they're just cruising along with their fucking
Stop with the visual bits.
goddamn. I talk with my hands. I can't. It's if I'm not flailing, my mouth doesn't work. So they're just floating along with their goddamn Star Destroyers, and the one like the fucking bridge gets hit and there's an explosion. No one gives a shit that whole Star Destroyer's fucking dead now, and just continue having their fucking conference meeting in the middle of a fucking hallway. And Vader's like, all right, do the things, and everyone's hologram disappears. And this one fucking commander walks up to him and he goes, Vader, the Emperor wishes to make contact with you.
I was supposed to remind you about this, yeah.
And fucking, so what you're telling me is, so then Vader goes, yes, we must move out of the asteroid field for me to make contact with him. So how the fuck did this person know that the Emperor wants to talk to Vader if they can't make contact in the asteroid?
I do really like that you're talking about a major character too.
You'll understand. Everyone else can make calls out. It's Vader's suit. It causes interference. Doesn't allow for him to make calls when.
Can you
keep getting this buzzing noise?
Can you hear me now? No? Fuck. All right. Can you hear me now? No, I am not in a tunnel. My body is a tunnel.
It's a regular sight on the Superstar Destroyer is Vader walking around holding up like a fucking communicator, like he's looking for a signal through the hallways.
It's the Poe Dameron hold bit all over again.
Oh god. That was the inspiration. It's like, watch, this is an old rebellion trick.
Yeah. Ryan Johnson just like, when I was going into this movie, I wanted to do something different, and I thought nobody's done a phone gag since Empire Strikes Back. Boom, hold gag.
Why is he a New Yorker?
I don't know. Listen, I've never heard Ryan Johnson talk, but I assume he sounds something like this.
Talk. Josh, at the very start of this watch, Josh looks at me, goes, all right, read it off to me, and instantly remembers that I read all of the text crawls in a brutal Scottish accent.
So that wasn't fun.
Why are we not starting every episode of this podcast with that?
I feel like that would be a mistake. If we do that, we have to vehemently apologize to every Scottish viewer we will ever have for the rest of days. Yeah. It's not pretty. He can do it, but it's not pretty.
And so Josh sits there and goes to read it off to me and sees me like getting into my accent mode, where my brain has to properly select the correct accent, and sees my brain loading and goes, oh no. Oh no, I know what you're doing. And all you hear is, Star Wars!
I would like to also point out that we made a better version of the movie at the beginning there, where we would replace what we assumed Peter Mayhew was saying on set with whatever Chewbacca was doing. And it was pretty good. There was one other thing we did, and this was more a me thing. I paused the movie at one point because Ian McDiarmid is fantastic. Ian McDiarmid is beautiful. Ian McDiarmid is our favorite person on the planet. I decided while we were watching it, we would watch the original version of that scene. Because I was misremembering it and saying that original scene had more time to breathe. And it does. But the reason why it has more time to breathe is because it's completely rewritten. The scene that we have now is completely rewritten from the original one. The original one was very subtle.
It's like completely rewritten.
like, the exception of 3 lines, it was completely rewritten.
I mean, they only added like 2 more lines.
Yeah. No, but they rewrote 2 lines as well. So what they ended up doing was, in the newer version, they pretty much just made it super duper clear this is the son of Anakin Skywalker. While the old version, they pretty much just hint at it and say the word Skywalker without saying Anakin in any way. And because there were less lines, the scene had more room to breathe, which you could, on further views, infer from Vader being silent. And that is where I got confused that the scene had more time to breathe. Because in this version, they have to get out so much information that's pertinent to the prequels through Ian McDiarmid that Vader doesn't even react to finding out that Luke is his son. Doesn't even slightly react to it. And Ben was quick to point out, because he already knew at this point in the new canon. I'm like, yeah, but that's not what I'm fucking talking about. And even if he did, like, shouldn't he at least pretend that he doesn't know? Because, you know, him knowing is a game he's playing with Palpatine in order to convince Palpatine that he doesn't know, so that he can one-up him because Rule of 2, even though Vader was neither of them were very good at Rule of 2. That's all
Also,
I had.
it made me realize that if anyone's played Fallout 1, the original Emperor, like, not CGI, but like the original Emperor hologram, because it was supposed to be like this weird disfigured face. It wasn't actually Ian McDiarmid that was added.
It was just I forget. I don't think they actually say it, but it was literally somebody's wife that they put.
Someone's wife with like some sunglasses or something. Yeah.
But it literally, like, because of all the stuff that they did to it in the editing and stuff, it looks like one of the like talking heads from Fallout 1 when you're like in important dialogue with a main character.
Yeah, it's
like it'll just like stop moving at parts and then just continue moving, but like only in sections. It was weird.
Yeah, it's very off.
It's been a while since I've seen that original one, but no, it's super weird. Now going back, and it was obviously always a placeholder. You know, they were working with what they had, but Jesus, it's bad.
I mean, to say it was a placeholder was to say that George Lucas had a plan, and he didn't.
Yeah, that's
but true. It seems like it now. But everything George does is placeholder-ish, so.
George Lucas was ahead of his time. He really wanted to cash in on the early access market. He just didn't understand how to make it work. So instead of, putting out a half-finished product and then updating it every couple of years, he just put out a half-finished product and then did it sneaky-like,
So Star Wars was just a beta to Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
It was just this isn't the first time we've compared George Lucas to Todd Howard?
No, it is not. We have a title of the podcast that just says George Lucas is Todd Howard, which confused a lot of people. People saw Todd Howard's name and was like, oh, I want to see this podcast. Oh, no, never mind. That's what the analytics tell me. Just like, Todd Howard? Nope. Never mind.
Todd Howard? None of these people are Todd Howard.
I don't see a single Todd Howard here.
I don't see a Todd or a Howard here.
I don't think I see a Todd for miles.
Well, there's a Howard. Howard the Duck was a George Lucas thing.
Did you?
I invoked the name of
Howard
our Lord.
The Duck mention on this podcast.
I invoked the name of the Lord.
Did you just make a Howard the Duck reference on our podcast?
Leave this shit.
Would you like me to be honest?
This has been Star Wars every week forever. Good night.
I did it.
I did it.
Howdy, welcome to my recommendation for the week. Since it keeps being brought up, I figured that I would more directly recommend Tales of the Bounty Hunters. This book came out in 1996, I believe. It's written by Kevin J. Anderson. And it's a relatively simple book. It's not this grand sweeping story arc. It just is 5 separate stories following each one of the bounty hunters that were hired to find the Millennium Falcon. I'm a big fan of this book, not because it's some special part of Star Wars, but because, like Chris said earlier in the episode, it follows a bunch of very striking characters that weren't followed up on at all in Star Wars. Chris was right to say that they were very much the original Knights of Ren. And I'm sure the Knights of Ren will one day have some kind of book entirely devoted to them rather than just ancillary stuff around Kylo Ren. Like this book. I've mentioned before that the stuff on IG-88 in this book I really, really love. And how the stories around IG-88 surround these rogue series robots with a hive mind slowly, calculatingly trying to take over the entire galaxy. There's also stories on Dengar, on Bosk. Bosk is probably the one that's been expanded upon the most outside of, Boba Fett. And Boba Fett is also in here, as well as Zuckuss and Orlom, and Dengar. It's just a bunch of little bounty hunter stories. The Dengar one is particularly interesting as I remember it. Our friend Johnny Cash. But, that's my recommendation for this week. It might not be the most sweeping story that we've recommended here, but it holds a little place in my heart because every single character that makes it on the screen in Star Wars deserves a little bit of a story, except Dio. Thank you.
If you enjoyed that episode, why not like and subscribe? Also, share it with a couple friends. Bring them into this hellscape that we've done to ourselves. You can catch brand new episodes every single Wednesday on Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, pretty much every other platform you get your podcasts on. If you'd like to extend the suffering, you can catch us over on twitter.com at SWEWF. We post direct links to brand new episodes every week as soon as we upload them, and you can catch the occasional other dumb Star Wars take, and who wouldn't want that? Catch you guys later.